are tough questions. You asked me to look at so many things. You know what, I'm going to have to say, I sent out a photo of Kurt Angle suplexing a shark today. Because he's in Sharknado 2. And I thought, you know, Rock was getting all types of acclaim, and Batista's movies apparently going through the roof. Like, what about Kurt Angle in Sharknado 2? What about Kurt Angle? So I'll just say, this might not be where you want me to take it, but I love the details. And one of the things I missed most was my days as commissioner. And I was, because what I had done, I finished my wrestling career, the first retirement, actually it was the second retirement. I came back 6 weeks after I originally retired. But I went to, on my birthday, I went to Hershey Park in Pennsylvania. I did a question and answer session. I traded it out for like the run of the park. 4 days, I shaved off all my hair. That was my sign to myself. I would never do anything again, ever in the public eye. And 2 days later, I got a phone call that went, "Hey, pal, how'd you like to be the commissioner?" And so I just showed up 2 days later on WWE without any TV, without any hair. And I had the time of my life. And I know it's like, this isn't exactly what you're talking about, details, but I love the fact that when I was there, you could take something and run with it. So, like if, for example, you had fun in a lousy looking set, and then you could have people go, let's find cool looking sets for Mick to do his commissioner's role in. And so every day, every time we did TV, they'd have a sound guy, Brian was his name, he'd go off and he'd try to find a cool set. And so I remember one time, I'm not just saying this because they're from Ontario, but Edge and Christian came in, and I was in the ladies' bathroom, you know, holding court. And they said something about, you know, how so-and-so were going to have the shortest reigns of all time. And the shortest reigns, they're going to need these. And there were a couple of cocktails on my table, the shortest umbrellas. And they walked out, "Oh, that's so lame." And I went, "I thought it was pretty clever. How about you, Glinda?" And there was a woman in the stall taking a poop. And she's like, "Very clever, Mr. Foley." And she walked away without washing her hands. And then another one with Kurt, back to Christian, where he was trying to cut weight to become the cruiserweight champion or light heavyweight champion. I just looked at him and I said, "How much do you weigh?" And he went, 220. And I went, "You're lying." And he went, "Oh," like I caught him. I wouldn't even scale. I said, "You want to lose weight? And do it the way that Kurt Angle did." And I just happened to walk over and I handed him a chicken outfit, like a furry chicken outfit, and put Christian through a series of exercise routines. And then we just had Kurt just randomly walk by and go, "Where'd you get my chicken suit?" So I love details, you know, and I don't like when people just nod and go, "Oh, no one remembers that." And I think that's my one fault with Mr. McMahon, is that he's kind of like a gut player, and that one week someone has it, and that next week someone doesn't, and then little by little people stop caring as much about characters. Do you have a personal favorite where every I was dotted? The best angle that I was ever involved in personally was my angle with Randy Orton in 2004. That culminated with Backlash. You know what? I'm going to end up with that story if I can, but I'll just say that you know, we really set the table perfectly for the return of The Rock. He came to my rescue. And in a plan B, this is where I was going to make a generalization about the game of life. Like, always have a plan B. And I'm going to offer up as evidence the fact that I went to Mr. McMahon's office back in the day in 2004 where I could call him up personally with an idea and be in his office pitching it to him personally the next day. And I came in, I said, "Yeah, here's my idea. I've been retired for 4 years. I'd like to enter the Royal Rumble as a surprise. I'd like to win that match. Because I'm not affiliated with either Raw or SmackDown, I will challenge both world champions to a 3-way match, which I will win to become the undisputed champion of the world." And he looked at me and said, "I have no idea whatsoever in doing that." No interest whatsoever. I went, "Okay, in that case, I've got an idea with me and Randy Orton." And it went on to be one of the biggest things in my career. So I might refer to that at the end in a second, but I'm going to kind of take you guys home with one of my favorite stories. It's a road story. Last night we tried something a little different, maybe a little too different. So I'm gonna play it safe. I'm gonna go with a seasoned story to send you guys upstairs to the meet and greet. And this takes place, remember I was talking about that glass ceiling, the perception of it on the road in WCW? So it could be frustrating. We do little things to pass the time, like emotionally devastating our friends to the point where they would crack psychologically. It wasn't just randomly. In this case, I was traveling with stunning Steve Austin, later to be Stone Cold Steve Austin. And when you travel with people, you find out that everyone's got their own peculiarities, right? And that was the case with DDP, Diamond Dallas Page. You guys know Diamond Dallas Page is actually the first person to bring thumbtacks into professional wrestling. Anyone know that? No. Well, he didn't use them in matches. He used them to thumbtack the blinds to our piece of crap Econo Lodge motels, so as not to let in even the faintest peep of, sunshine or man-made light. That's a peculiarity, not necessarily the problem. The problem is, he was also one of those random white guys who liked to be naked in the motel room with no apparent reason. Like, I've been around white guys who wanted to be naked with reason, and he wasn't one of them. Not that I'm anybody's pecker checker. I'm more like a random white dude. And in the days before manscaping became popular, that was a little problematic. Now, in fairness to DDP, he wasn't completely naked. He would wear saran wrap around his knees, which he claimed to help lubricate the joints. And we tried to reason with it. We tried to. Like, at first we set out on this day, like we were going to emotionally devastate Diamond Dallas Page. I thought it would take 2 days, and we started to emotionally devastate him. Started out like a prize fight, couple of jabs. Austin said, yeah, my old lady wanted me to pick up a couple antiques on the road. I said, what did you tell her? He said, I told her I picked up DDP at the airport. Pretty solid jab at the aging Page. Effective 22 years ago, to give you an indication of how am I doing on the F-bombs? Old he is at this point. And by midway through the afternoon, he was like on the verge of cracking, to the point where he's actually threatening me, lovable me, with physical violence, threatening to throw me over the balcony of our piece of crap Econo Lodge. And it was a threat I was not scared of, at the least for 2 key reasons. First, because I'd been in the Baltimore arena as a fan several months earlier, when I saw DDP as the manager of the Diamond Stud, later become Razor Ramon, now known largely as Scott Hall. And as the manager, he took a clothesline over the top rope from Tom Zenk, and it was a journey that was not quite successful. He didn't make it. No shame in that, no reason to apologize. It happens all the time. Moves get botched all the time, and I've got a missing ear to show for it. What's not understandable, or forgivable in the least, when DDP did not make the journey the first time with the assistance of the Z-Man Tom Zenk, he attempted to throw himself over a second time. Just took off and went. A journey that once again was not successful. So therefore, when he threatened to throw me over the top of the balcony, I stood my ground and calmly said, oh, that's a good idea, Paige. And if I don't make it the first time with you helping me, I'll just throw myself over a second time. But the primary reason I was not afraid of Diamond Dallas Page and his threats of violence is because he's a good dude. He really is. You see what he does with his DDP yoga. He helps lives. Probably saves lives. I don't think Scott Hall or Jake the Snake would even be here if it wasn't for Diamond Dallas Page. And so I knew he would resort to physical violence. And so before he went into the shower, I just sat him down and I tried to reason with him. I said, Dallas, I think Steve and I would both be more comfortable if you would start wearing clothes in the room. And he looked at me like it was the most absurd request ever asked for. And he just said, I'll never forget, he went, but bro, they get in the way. That's all he said. And I distinctly remember feeling like Travis at the end of Old Yeller.